let's just get started, shall we? I'm starting to think I need music for that pre-stream because it's a little sad and quiet, isn't it? I'm not a pro, we know this. Alright. Now, I am going to switch our channels over. So, give me a second. There we go. So this is our world building stream tab, where we've got, this is the stuff we've sorted out last time. And let's just put that to be right back. There we go. So this is all the things we worked out in our last stream earlier this month. And this is what we're doing today. So we still have a lot of information, and I think I've been thinking about this, but I'm going to need to go into it at some point, and we're going to need to work out some of the more specific details that we've kind of been kicking down the road, but we'll come to that later. Because now I want to make an environment and find out where this cool dungeon is that we've been talking up. So I have a few things to do this with. We have a dice roller that is over here on my other window. And we have this one. This is Dungeon Scroll. I've actually used this a couple of times now just to make maps, and they're fun. It beat, like, you'll see a few things we can do with this later, where we can draw out rooms to specific spaces, add in doors, add in, whoops, not snap, erase. We can add in several spaces and, like, key points on the map with this. And then this will actually let me print it out, not like on 25-inch, on just 1-inch grids, without having to like actually find big poster paper. You can just tape these together. So I've used this for a few maps where I've needed to like layer them on top of each other, and it works pretty well. So first off, we have a few little bits of setup here, so I want to find out where this dungeon is set. And to do that, on page 73 of the old DMG, we have a table of goals. So first off, we need to find out what they're going to do. Now this one I feel like I can throw away, possibly, or use, maybe for inspiration, just because we kind of have a goal where we earlier determined that our villain's soul is trapped in a hidden object. It might be to retrieve that. Maybe there's a secondary goal in this dungeon, and we can also add that here. But let's take this D20 and throw it. Oh my god, we're off to a cool start. Love a roll from a 20. Okay. So, a 20 in the dungeon goals. I was really hoping we'd roll higher on the locations table, because goals is just roll twice, ignoring results of 20. So we have we might have 3 goals here, depending on how this roll goes down. So regardless, I think this dungeon has 2 goals, even if we throw out one of these. So, 15 and 8. So, 15, clear a ruin so they can be rebuilt and reoccupied. That's interesting enough. And 8, rescue a captive. Let's write those down. Rebuild. What was it? 15. Clear a ruin so it can be rebuilt and reoccupied. Double C. Reoccupied. So that's our first goal, and secondary, rescue a captive. Okay. I don't know what we're going to do with that just yet, but we'll find out. We'll need to figure out who's in this dungeon and why it exists. So, our next step is we need to find the Adventure Environments page on page 99, And we have a D100 table. Oh, so familiar with these from last time. Whoops. So we're going to go 10s and 1s. 90... it happened! It happened! 96 to 100. Roll on the exotic location table. Oh boy. I was thinking either like catacombs or sewers beneath a city, because this feels a little bit like an urban adventure. Maybe. But some of these are really cool locations. And now, okay, let's see where this goes. 62. Oh wait, hang on, this is a D20. Never mind. D20, 17. In a volcano. Okay, so dungeon location. I'll just put exotic. And it's in a volcano. Do I know it? There are actually... No, I was going to say, do I know any dungeons set in volcanoes from published material? But there's a couple. I've ran one. White Plume Mountain is in a sort of dormant volcano, I think. It's definitely a volcanic mountain, but whether it's active or not, I feel like an active one would be really cool. I'll need to talk to a friend about this, because they've read Princes of the Apocalypse, Elemental Evil, and I haven't, but I think the Cult of Fire dungeon is actually it's set in a volcano, or at least like a very lava-filled environment. A friend of mine has also done a volcano dungeon, so there's precedent. It's cool. For an early adventure like we're going with here, maybe not. Lava is known to be like incredibly deadly, so now I feel kind of bad about like if we're going to have level 3 adventurers jumping into this. It's very easy to die from like, you know, an animal or a monster shoving you into lava, because that stuff does ridiculous amounts of damage. Oh well. Sucks to be my players, I guess. This is all inspiration. Maybe the volcano isn't... we could do a White Plume Mountain type thing, where it's built into it. Maybe a wizard did it. Let's actually move on to page 290. Is it 290, or is it actually sooner? I think it's sooner. I think this is still in the adventure environments. Give me a second. Yes. Okay, so we need to find out who made this dungeon. First off, dungeon creator is another D20. Where's my D20? Let's just move this over to here. I don't need to roll at the same time. Alright. D20. A 7. A 7 on the dungeon creator chart is this dungeon was made by dwarves. A great many dungeons and places in the world of Dungeons and Dragons are made by dwarves. Heck, Mines of Moria and Lord of the Rings, I'm pretty sure they're made by they're all made by dwarves. So there's precedent. And that really allows us for any type of monster or environment at this point. It could be made by Duragar, it could be made by like Hill Dwarves, Shield Dwarves, whatever. I think actually, now that I'm back on the volcano track, I'm pretty sure there's a Storm King's Thunder, right? Like, there's a fire giant citadel, which might be a volcano as well? Maybe? But, yeah, dwarves, we can do so much with that. And that doesn't mean that it's currently being inhabited by dwarves. It could be inhabited by anything at this point. Cults and religious groups. Cool. So now let's find out what our dungeon purpose is. So a dungeon purpose is another D20. 5. Okay. Whoops. Sorry. So 5, a little boring in comparison. It's a lair. So some sort of monster lives here. Well, actually, a lair is a place where monsters live. Typically, lairs include ruins and caves. I'm trying to think about this one. It's created by dwarves. Except in the case of a natural cavern, a dungeon... This is crafted for a specific purpose. It's a monster lair made by dwarves. So these dwarves have made a volcano for some sort of monster to live in. Okay, sure. And its history. So let's find out what happened to said dwarves. This is another d20. 3. Its history is it was abandoned by creators. So that answers that question. The dwarves are gone. They are no longer here. Okay. That gives us some stuff to work with, I think. It means we can have some natural elements of this dungeon, I think. There's a potential to throw in like some volcanic elements, but it's mostly carved. That's kind of the... What are the other purposes for a dungeon in this section? Give me a second. Death trap, lair, maze, mine, planar gate, stronghold, temple or shrine, tomb, treasure vault. When I think of a dwarf... I mean, that said... like, dwarven dungeons, that also... I'm kind of picturing maybe an Erebor situation... where that's basic... like, Erebor in The Hobbit is basically a dungeon. Sort of. I mean, if you look at Lord of the Rings as a D&D game, yeah. Where The Hobbit is... In Erebor is just a big treasure vault, basically. Like, it's part of a dwarven kingdom that's now used to hoard treasure and functions as... and is abandoned by its creators, the dwarves, and is now the lair for a dragon. So I can see that being actually a good thing. I think we might be able to put, like... this might... I hate to get stereotypical with it, but this might actually just be a dragon lair. This might just be home for a red dragon. We might be making a really stereotypical situation here. Because I'm picturing, like, volcano, monsters with volcanic origins, fire elementals, that kind of stuff, and red dragon is coming back. Maybe it was built for a dragon, but a good one. I don't hate that. That could be cool. Well, now with that knowledge, let's start making a dungeon. So we're not going to go too large or ridiculous with it, but we'll see where the book takes us. So first we need to find our starting area, which is made with a d10. A 1. So 1 is a square 20-foot by 20-foot room, passage on each wall. Now if these are 5-foot squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, boop. So we got a 20-foot room, a passage on each wall. Now a passage means that these all go off in different directions. So our method of entry could... this is just where the adventure starts and where it all spokes and comes out from. So our method of entry could be something as much as like they come in through a door or a staircase leads in here. Like this wall could just be a doorway, or we might have they might have to rappel in. This could be like a collapse system. I know in what's it called? Is it Sunless? Yeah, Sunless Citadel. That's like a fortress that's fallen into a ravine, so they have to rappel down and get onto the roof of it and work their way into the citadel from there. So this could be like a it's in a volcano, like volcanic or tectonic movement may have caused it to drop or sink. Let's see, passages. Squared walls. Once you've selected... When rolling for a random starting area, pick one of the doors or passages leading into the starting area as the entrance to the dungeon. Cool, so there are passages on each wall, so yeah, all 4 walls, and one of them will be our door. So, if we have 4 passages, that means we need to roll a different passage for each side. So let's go with the bottom, which I think might be where our entrance is. A 4. Continue straight ahead, door to the left, then additional 10 feet ahead. So, continue straight 20 feet. Passage width, my god. Complex? Maybe. 15 is a 30-foot wide passage. The room is not 30 feet, so I'm going to re-roll that one. Although, actually, no, you know what? 30-foot wide passage, that's 6 feet. 6 squares. What was it? 5? Continue straight 20 feet. So if we do one of these... Cool. Continue straight past... What was my first roll again? Was that 15? Continue straight. No, it was a 4. Door to the left, then additional 10 feet ahead. So that means that this is a door, and a door to the left would imply that they would come in through here, and this is a door. There we go. Let's roll with that for now. So this will be our entrance chamber into the dungeon, and maybe one of these passages will be the way in, and this is just a big room. What we'll put in it, I don't know. Now let's go to the left, just start rotating around in a spoke. 14. Continue straight, then passage turns right and continues 10 feet. So, passage width... What was that? A 4. So we have a 10 foot, much more reasonable. So 10 foot and... Continue, was it continue 20 feet, then passage to the right. 20 feet, passage to the right, then additional 10 feet ahead. Okay, so then passage to the right, let's just give a quick roll, see if it gets thicker or thinner. 12. Nope, still 10 feet. So 10 feet by 10 feet, boop. So we have a bit of an L here. And this one actually doesn't have a door. No, continue ahead, no doors. A door or chamber. I actually prefer if this doesn't have a door, so let's do that. Then we have a passage on top. 6. Continue straight, 20 feet, side passage to the right, then additional 10 feet ahead. We'll go width again. 5. So, this is another 10 foot wide. And continue straight 20 feet. 20 feet is once again 4 squares. And then passage turns to the right. There we go. And one final one. Some of these places might link up, which is actually kind of... It'd be good if they did. Otherwise, this is going to be a very big mess of a dungeon. 13. Continue straight 10 feet, then passage turns right and continues 10 feet. This is starting to become a running theme here. And the width of this passage is 19. 40 feet wide! Alright, you know what? If it's 40 feet wide, bloody hell. It's not much of a chamber, is it? 20 feet high. Gallery 10 feet above floor allows access to the level above. No, 40 feet wide, 20 feet high. Good lord. That must mean this is a top. Actually, maybe it's sort of like a shaft down, so this is actually very tall. Then everything else is kind of just split off from that. So 40 would be 8 feet wide. You know what? I think I'm gonna do something a little stupid here. 40 feet wide. Let's just re-roll this one. 20. Even bigger. We've got such a small starting room, and all these things are huge, so I think I'm gonna change the... I'm gonna re-roll the shape and... whatchamacallit... and width of it, just so that we don't end up with something just suddenly enormous. Stairs. This is better. So we have stairs coming into the right side. So maybe this is our entrance. Our stairs are another 20. 10. Down 2 levels to a passage 20 feet long. Cool. So that means our stairs... Let's do one of these numbers. And 20 feet long. Cool. Okay, and our stairs are descending. So if we do... Nope, that's the wrong way to do that. Where's the undo button? There we go, up top. Whoops. Okay, so if we go boop to boop, and then there. There we go. So that's our way in. I like that better. That's much nicer. A little cleaner. Okay, and there's our starting area. So the players will come down from here. They'll wind up in this chamber here. And then we've got multiple ways around. Passages. Create a new passage, roll determine its width of the passage branches from another passage, roll d12 on the passage width table. Ah, that keeps it from being enormous. Okay, roll d12 instead if it's if it splits off from a different passage. Comes from a chamber, roll d20, but the width of the passage must be at least 5 feet smaller than the... I should have read that before. So the width of a passage must be 5 feet smaller than the chamber. So this is actually outlandish and stupid, but I kind of like it, and I'm going to keep it. So the giant 40-foot room would have been not a roll anyway. So we'll work with this for now. So we have 3 passages now splitting off that we need to decide what goes where. So let's start with this door. 5. So, from 5 we have a passage splitting off. Continue straight ahead, passage ends in a door. Straight ahead, and the passage width, it roll d12 because the passage ends 5. So it's a 10-foot wide passage that goes straight ahead 20 feet, and it is not stairs. Whoops. Passage 20 feet, 10 foot wide, continues straight ahead. Let's put that door back in. There we go. Okay. And that ends in a door specifically, so let's put in a door. There we go. And then I want to find out what's on the other side of this door. So let's put a chamber here. So give me a second to find our chambers. Yeah, because we can't just have passages snaking everywhere. Let's actually fill this room with monsters and treasure, and that's what we're here for, to kill things and grab loot. So I want a passage chamber, and for this we roll a d20. 13. It is a rectangle that is 40 feet by 50 foot square. So we need a rectangle. Let's put this here for the sake of it. So 40 feet is, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and then 50 would be 10. There we go. This is a large room. You know what? We're gonna hope we don't roll into the circle chambers, because I'm not sure if actually we can do polygons, but circles, I don't know how I'm gonna do that. I've actually none of the dungeons I've ever made undo as Alt F4. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate the assistance. Oh boy. Yeah, hopefully we won't roll any of those, otherwise they're all going to be hexagonal rooms. Yeah, 1 second. There's a bit of noise in the house. I'm just going to be back in 1 moment. And we're back. Okay, so now we have a chamber. Whenever indicates a chamber, define its dimensions and roll the chamber. Chamber exits. Here we go. Does anything split from this? This feels like a big, important room. So we have a... Yeah, I'm going to call it a large chamber. No, you know what? This isn't a... We're not trying to make a macro dungeon here, so let's make this just a regular one. So we need a d20. Still, we have 3 exits. So let's just kind of make a little note. I'm just going to put in... We have 3 passages exiting this one, which, you know what? Well, no, we'll split off from that in a second. So we know that this needs to go places. Let's find out where this one goes now. So we need another passage. 19. Aha. So this ends here in a chamber. So what chamber do we have? Rectangle. D20. 18. An octagon. So I need an octagon that is 40 feet. We're all gonna learn how Dungeon Scroll works today, ladies and gentlemen. So it comes out from the center. Cool. Let's undo that. Hear me out. Path A on the center right leads to path B on the top left. Path A on the center right, that's... You can't see me pointing on screen, whoops. Center right there leads to path A on the top left. I'm hoping that these will all kind of connect eventually. My thought is that we need a few things in here. So there's a monster living in it. This is a lair for a monster built by dwarves. We have that much information. But also, we need to clear this ruin so it can be rebuilt and reoccupied. And we're here to rescue a captive. And just because we have a lot to work out, somewhere in this room, I feel like we should have a hidden object that holds the villain's soul. Something that they might... I feel like that one they might even miss. Just something that, like... I don't know, this feels like a place of importance, and the world's getting small, so let's do it. So how are we going to make this 40 by 40 octagonal room? What is it? Octagon 40 by 40 feet. Okay. So... It draws from the center, so 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. That's also not an octagon. That's a hexagon. However, that would connect our 2 rooms. Okay, so let's do a little undo. Can I can I change polybrush here? I've never actually tried, so let's find out. Can I make... Actually, I could just make walls and then fill it in. I think there's a... There is a polygon. Okay, so let's try... Actually, no. Drawing myself, that's a bad idea. That is a very bad idea. File... Edit... We're gonna... we're gonna figure this out somehow. Here we go. Sides. So we have 8 sides on the polygon. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35... Give me a second to work out how to put this down properly without breaking everything. So if I rotate it a few degrees... So we're looking for something like that. Let's see... Okay, I'm gonna put this off to the side a little bit. And then, so it's... 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's put it here. If I drop it to there, that should link up to that passage right here. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. There we go. So let's do that, and then switch back over to this tool. Boop. Okay, there we are. Eldritch geometry is all fun. Eldritch, let me tell you, any shape that has more or less than 4 sides is already eldritch and abominant enough in my mind. I didn't do so well in geometry in school. But there we go. So that looks like... it's... You know, I'm glad this prints it out, because I don't want to have to draw that in a battle map. So if you guys, if people want to use this dungeon, I'm going to share the file. Cool. So that's fun. I think this could be... You know what, we might even... Like, I know this is supposed to be random, but we can fudge with this so that, like, this is a big chamber in a sort of unusual enough shape that we can make this our monster lair. So I'm going to come back to exits on this one, because maybe we can have some more stuff join it, or we can put... We might even, like, futz with this and put a door here and make it, like, so that door requires a key of some sort. That way we, players can see this potential boss room at the beginning. We also gotta consider dungeon ecology, so a monster's not gonna live in a room with no exits, and that's just its lair. But that said, it could be an open shaft. This might be like a straight shoot out. That could be a fun shape. So let's find out where this passage goes. Gotta roll a d20. 8. Continue straight 20 feet, passage to the left, then additional 10 feet ahead. And we need a d12. 6. I should just be rolling these two together for passages. That would make it way easier. So it's 10 feet wide again. Classic. Classic shapes. Everything is 5 or 10 feet wide. It is 5 feet. It is 10 feet wide, and once again, continues straight. So just want to continue straight. How many? 20 feet. Like that, because there's... Hang on. Yeah, because there's overlap. And then we want to go left an additional 10 feet. There we go. You ever had a 1-int roll resulting in you shoving an entire candy necklace and almost fail the deck save to see if you swallow the string? In a game or in real life? Because in a game, no. IRL? I'm not saying. Let's continue on with this passage and see where it goes. This could be a bit of a sort of worms its way around, and let's find out. We might even block this. Or it could lead into sort of more of this whatchamacallit, more of the dungeon ecology, so we might have more monsters in this room, which would kind of be good. We want multiple encounters. I know it's a low-level dungeon, but at the same time, like I was saying before, this could be like a metallic dragon's lair. It doesn't have to be the boss. So where does this spike out to next? So, 12. Continues straight, then the passage turns left and continues 10 feet again. And 11 stays 10 feet wide. Okay, so we need 20 feet again, and then 10 feet. And this is all one passage. There we go. Okay, let's follow this snake and see where it goes a little bit more. Maybe it'll link up with the rest of it, maybe it'll go straight off or end here. 12. Continue straight, then the passage turns left. It will not be turning much left as it's going to link up to this, but that's fine. And it is still the same width. So it's going to continue straight, 20 feet, and then it turns left, which basically means that this is going to widen out. There we go. And there's no indication of a door in any of this so far. So I'm going to put a little whoop. There we go. Okay. Right now this is just like it's a big UFC arena is what I'm seeing the purpose of this dungeon realistically. Maybe it's not a big monster that lives here. Maybe most of the dungeon ecology is kept to this space. Which actually I'm kind of feeling getting rid of this door now. So let's get rid of that. These doors can stay. Now we do know that there's 3 exits from this one, so I get the feeling this is probably going to link up. So let's start with the top and find our passage, which this time comes off a chamber, so we roll 2d20s. 15 and 19. So our passage is a 15, which is itself a chamber? Okay. And our width is actually relevant, so we'll just call this the chamber roll, which is a trapezoid. a trapezoid? You know what? Let's just re-roll. This makes. I'm not going to fit a chamber here. That's not possible. 13 continues straight 20 feet and is. All right. Classic. We'll put it right here. Come on, D&D. Show me a passage that isn't merely 10 feet wide and 20 feet long. I dare you. There are other shapes. Okay. Then let's call the middle path. 4 and 20. So, it continues straight 20 feet, door to the left, then an additional 10 feet ahead. Aha. So this one is, continues straight 20 feet. I'm just going to trace this in quickly, because it's not this width. We'll come back to that in a sec. So it continues ahead 20 feet. There's a door to the left, which we'll also come back to. And then continues ahead 10 feet. Okay, but it is not a 10-foot wide room. Entire candy necklace in your mouth. I can't. Well, actually, no. I definitely haven't swallowed the string to a candy necklace, but I feel like it's something that wouldn't shock me. I've probably put a whole candy necklace in my mouth once when I was a kid, but I haven't had one of those in yonks. But this room, 40 foot wide, 20 feet high, gallery, 40 feet wide, 10 feet high, gallery 10 feet above the above floor allows access to the level above. So this passage is actually 10. That'd be 20. If we do this like a big room, so 10, 20, 30. So 40 feet wide would be 8 squares, like that. And then there's a door here. I kind of don't want it to be a multi-level dungeon because we're trying to do this in a simplified manner. But I still like the idea of like a balcony level at least. So that would actually be pretty cool. So I'm going to put... Is there a way to easily number this? That's one note. Actually, maybe. Is there a text tool if I draw another layer? Here we go. He's starting to believe. No, it's just path brushes. Extra. Dang. We've got strokes. I'm not seeing the option. I don't see a text tool. I was hoping I could start scrolling on these. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna actually eliminate the wall here. There is no door. And so there'll be a balcony level out here. So is there a way I can draw in a balcony? And that way it's just sort of like... IRL, I was gifted a few for Christmas. Is this a recent thing? Was this today? No, mostly chocolates in my Christmas. So what this will look like, and this is the kind of thing that would I'd be scratching on the map with a pencil. But there's a balcony. Can I just draw with... Yeah, let's use the wall tool. And I think I might be able to do like a transparency thing here. Stroke width. No, that's just layer opacity. Okay, let's just draw on a second layer. I'm going to put a wall... Gallery 10 feet above floor allows access to the level above. So if we put... Well, like... Well, that... I was really hoping it wouldn't freehand that one. Wall. Aha! So if we do one of these actions... There we go. And that's just going to denote to me that that there's a sort of balcony around the top. And I like the idea of having that be a spot where we can put like some monsters. Just for a bit of range. So since there's no doorway here, we've got this big open space and a balcony up here that will probably be a bit difficult for them to reach. So either our players are going to need to be sniping at these enemies up high, or they're going to have to try and find a way to climb up, or fly up, or however they're going to pull it off. Then this door here, maybe the dungeon is the monster. Now you're thinking, it's made by dwarves, but what if it's a dwarvish arcane experiment and this entire dungeon is the mimic? If it were Death Trap, I'd definitely really consider that. Although, that said, there are some dungeons that are like quasi-living, in a way. White Plume Mountain's a good example of, it's described as though, like, when you're coming into the entrance, it's described like a mouth or like a breathing passage where it feels like a sort of, which is kind of a bit, I think it might be a bit of a good inspiration for this one with its multiple branching passageways and the fact that it's in a volcano. Yeah, it's described as sort of this breathing as you enter it. And part of the sort of, at least my headcanon of that, because there isn't an answer given, is that the wizard that's made this his lair is the mountain. It's a living dungeon in itself. Just food for thought. We could do something like that. That might be its inhabitant now. So, beyond the door. Okay. So, I kind of want to see where this door goes. Seven. So the door is a wooden one, and it leads to 3. A passage. I was kind of hoping for a trap. So let's put in a door. First, let's find out how wide this passage is, just so I know how big the door is. 17, 40 foot. Okay, so the door can be. If the door is 10 feet wide, that means. Wait. Oh wait, no, this is a passage. So we actually rolled d12 on that. This is a bit confusing, but I swear if I weren't doing this on stream, it'd be much easier. 10 feet. Okay. So it's one of these numbers. So what was it? A passage extending 10 feet, then a T intersection extending 10 feet to the right and to the left. Whoops. So the T intersection goes 10 feet down. Then there's a passage extends 10 feet to the right and to the left. So I'm actually going to extend it a little bit more. And then we'll put in a little one of these and a little one of these. There we go. What's at the end of those passages? Nothing. It branches more. I think we're gonna keep that. You know what? I don't actually like the idea of branching off more than that. I feel like I want to keep it that way. Whoops. Just doors on top of doors. Okay, so there's nothing particularly special about that door, but now I want to kind of. These weren't in our roll on it before, but I'm gonna roll for, like, there were no doors here, it was just open passages, but I like the idea of there being this sort of, almost, yeah, no, airlock would be the wrong word, but just like this sort of, space, this two-doored space. So let's find out what those doors are. 20s. 2. Also wooden, not locked. Cool. Or at least that's that one. What about the next one? Portcullis. Dang, okay, so this one is locked, this one is not. That's what I'm getting from this. Plot twist, this is a side view map. It's actually, correct, it's a Terraria map. No, my god, no. That would be very, like, this would be a very interesting structure now that you mention it for, like, a side view map in a D&D adventure. Just them big, like, octagonal, I mean, almost circular room, really. At the top of it, like, what even is this? This would be a really interesting boss adventure, boss room, wouldn't it? I'm picturing, like, really, it looks like a Metroid map. Is from the side. Now you've given me a really interesting thought. That sounds fun. A side view map of drawing out on, like, the random tables. That could be really cool. I encourage people to try it. Like, if people have a DMG, DMG, and they want to send me, like, maps that they've made, or just or even, like, you know, maps that you've created yourself, or ones you've rolled randomly, I'd love to see them. I always love to see, like, dungeon environments, and I like to hear more about people's D&D games. So please, like, message me. Gosh, I don't even know where. Twitter, Instagram. They're on my OBS, not OBS, my stream page, right? You can see those somewhere. Surely, there's a link. YouTube comments. Why not? Okay. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna keep just the one split off here, and let's actually, whoops, let's see where that goes. I want to know where these two passages wind up. So these just continue on. There are no doors. So we know that this one is locked and this one is not. So it might be the case that they have to go through this big chamber here to get into here. Or pick it. Perhaps there's a... maybe we can put a trap here. Or have some sort of encounter here so that if the players shortcut it, then they're getting rewarded. That's always a nice thing to have, of like, yeah, it's locked from the other side, it's barred. If you can figure out how to bust that open, you don't have to deal with the garbage over this passage. Yeah, maybe we're getting to the real lair here. I just think octagonal rooms are an interesting shape. I haven't really put a dungeon in one. I've done some very unnatural shaped rooms before. Like, I've drawn up a chamber for a dragon that was just this big, like, not even oval, just unnatural shape with a big pile of gold in the middle and lava channels all over the place. So actually, now that I think about it, I'm not unfamiliar with volcanic dungeons either. And that one, now that I think about it, that was also made by dwarves. If you've ever played or read up on Out of the Abyss, that's the whatchamacallit, Thembishord's cavern from that area. My players came back at like the end of the adventure and fought Thembishord, which made for a cool adventure in itself. They'd already smashed the dragon egg, so they had to find a replacement for it. Yeah. Let's think like Ocarina of Time, Jabu Jabu. I haven't played Ocarina of Time though. I'm willing to bet. Oh yeah, I'm counting up my drop frames. I thought I changed my settings to fix this, but it seems my chat is, or it seems my stream is way behind me again. This is starting to become a running theme of late. I thought I'd fixed it, but I think Australian internet. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna have to turn my bitrate down next time. So we'll try and keep this from being too long, because I've dropped like half of my frames. Alright, let's keep going. So, our passage splits off at a T, so we need something going this way and something going this way. So let's go to the right. We need a passage. 10. Continue straight, comes to a dead end. 10% chance of a secret door. I like those odds. So continue straight. Continue straight. 20 feet. Whoops. Cool, continue straight. And then, let's find out. 10% chance. On a 10, there's a door. There is sadly not a door. Unless we really want there to be, because we're the master of our own dungeon, and we can put one there if we want one. But not just yet, because we gotta find out what the rest of this space is. So, on the other offshoot, we have... Whoops, didn't even roll anything. D20, let's find out. 17. A chamber. So right here we have a room. The room is... 11. A rectangle that is 30 feet by 40 feet. So, 10 foot, 20... Okay, let's offset it a little bit. And then 30 feet is 6. Yes, and 40 feet is... You know what, we've got... Let's orient this one this way. So it's 30 feet wide, or tall, and 40 feet long. There we go. So few doors. I like doors in a dungeon. They give you blind corners, and this one's just open. Doesn't mean we can't throw in a few barriers every now and again. So let's open up a passage, and now we have a chamber. I feel like we're gonna have to do another stream where we're actually gonna fill this dungeon. So I might yeah. But first, let's build it. So we need. I've been drawing on a different layer this entire time. It's fine. Okay. So then this chamber has a... Oh, do we want... Okay. This chamber we'll call a normal chamber. It's not particularly big. We have much larger ones here. Let's see its exits. It is a 9, which means it has one exit. Now, let's find out where that exit is. 15. It is the wall right of the entrance, so here. Is my mouse on the stream? Probably, yeah. So right here we'll have a exit. Wall right of exit. And then the exit type. So you can build a dungeon wrong and still have a cool thing come out of it. Is a door. Sweet. So we need to find what type of door this is. Come on, something cool, something cool. A stone door. Mighty indeed. Perhaps this is where we're getting to the cool treasure vault stuff. So let's put the door here, just so we have a bit of distance between our previous room and this one. And then what's beyond the door? 9. Oh, interesting. Okay. So, a 9 is beyond the door. A chamber itself on the other side of this door. What could the chamber possibly be? A 10. A rectangle 30 foot by 40 foot. Okay, so a 30 foot by 40 foot. This time we'll make it taller than it is narrow. And we'll start in the middle. So 10 foot. So 30 feet one. I completely balls that up, didn't I? Alright, let's just shrink down and get rid of that. So let's see, a 30 foot chamber would start here, end here, and then be 40 feet high. There we go. Keep our stone door intact. Okay, so we have a chamber that goes into here, then another room beyond a stone door. The stone door's not barred, so I don't think this is really our treasure vault, but I want to know where this goes from here. So I want to know, let's see, chamber exits. Once again, I'm not going to call this a large chamber. 13. It has 2 exits. The first exit... I really should have like a piece of paper writing this down. The first exit is a 16, which is the wall right of the entrance again. And let's just find out what type that is. It might just be a straight chute, like a corridor. Yeah, we have a corridor. And I'm going to make this one... Whoops, what is that? I'm going to make this one quite narrow. There we are. Then I need another exit, which we'll find the location of. One wall opposite the entrance. I was kind of hoping for that, so it goes off this way. And it is another corridor 10 feet long. And this one I think I'll put it 10 feet wide. There we are. Okay. I think whatever... This is for a, like, low-level dungeon. This one's pretty complex as it is. So I think whatever's beyond here will be our final room. So, first we're at a passage. So let's call this a passage and roll for it. 10. Continue straight, comes to a dead end. And let's just get the width of it as well. 11. Cool. So we continue straight 20 feet. That's right. And then allegedly comes to a dead end. 10% chance of a secret door. 10? 9. 9's pretty close to a 10, so we're going to put a door here anyway because that's fun, and we're the masters of the dungeon. Always remember that. You are your own dungeon master. Unless you're a player, in which case your dungeon master is the dungeon master of their dungeon. But you exist in it, and you have agency too. Let's see. I want to put a door here. And if it's not something cool, I want it to be a cool door. 7 isn't a cool door. And we've already determined that it is a secret door of some sort. But a 16 is an iron door. Cool. But what's beyond the door? If this is a 20 and we get a false door at the very end, I'm not even going to be mad. 11. Beyond the door is, let's call this the final chamber. 4. It is a square 30 foot by 30 foot room. What is... Oh, that was a door tool. So we want a 30 foot by 30 foot room. And this might be where our hostage is, or maybe where our soul is trapped. So I like this. This is cool. So we've got kind of an optional thing here. A possibly optional thing here. A locked door here. Cool. So let's try and populate it. Just a little. So each of those chambers, it needs to be a thing. Let's see, just going over a few things. Dungeon chamber contents. Okay. So first I'm going to put in some of these major rooms and just what the purpose of them is. That could be fun to know. I mean, I think it's important to know. And we can work out the smaller ones. You know what, let's just... We gotta label these somehow. Gosh. That's the shame. I wish there were a text tool here. That would be great. Hey, Dungeon Scroll. If I'm missing it, I would love to know. But otherwise, that's a tip for the creators. Unless usage guide. Oh god. Basic usage, general information. I don't think there's a text tool. Okay. So, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of work here. So let's call it starting room. So let's pull out our chambers. This is actually a passage, so I'll call it connected to this one. We've got the big octagonal room. So we'll call that Octagonal Chamber. And we'll get the loose ideas of what's in these first. Then we have the large room with the balcony in it. Room with balcony. Which I like that. I like using that for an encounter. I think that'll be cool. Then we have the twin chambers here. So we'll call it. We'll call this one the Offshoot Chamber. Then Corridor Chamber is the one connected to it. And then we have Secret Chamber. Or just Secret Room. Okay. So let's go wall to wall and see what we find out. And we can populate, like, even the passages between them. There are plenty of dungeons where, like, the path between rooms has an encounter in it, whether that's, like, a couple of monsters arguing over something, or just a gelatinous cube. Plenty of times you can just throw a gelatinous cube in the middle of especially in this dungeon, perfectly 10-foot chambers. Easy. It just, yeah, we throw a gelatinous cube in the chamber and it just cleans the whole doorway. Maybe that's why there are no doors in half of these rooms. Maybe, actually, I quite like the idea of putting a gelatinous cube in here, because then that just means, yeah, there's no doors. All the iron is perfectly, like, cleaned off. You just find hinges on the floor. You find a bunch of nails and a skeleton. So, this is as we determined, a lair. So we need to stock each chamber. Man, a death trap would have been cool, though. Low-level death trap? Easy. Put any monsters in it. 1. So our opening is an armory. That's maybe this isn't even the actual beginning of our volcano dungeon. Maybe they've come down from some sort of larger structure. Armory stocked with. Does it think I'm? Does this Google Doc think I'm a different language? That's fine. We'll sort it out. Maybe I did mean armory. It's an American book, American game. Armory stocked with weapons and armor. Armor. So, I think we should probably put some monsters in this room when we populate it. If there's weapons, either this is a dungeon that now has, like, goblins or hobgoblins inhabiting it. So this is a place where they're putting all their weapons and armor and gear, or it's a monster, like, you know, the creatures living here are creatures that don't care about weapons. So, like, undead, like a zombie has no use for a suit of armor, or a weapon. What else? Like, beasts don't have use of armor and weapons. Oozes don't have use of swords, that kind of stuff. So maybe it's non-humanoid. The octagonal, those big red octagonal things. Octagonal Chamber is used for 14. Storage, mostly non-perishable goods. Okay, so it's a big warehouse type thing, a big storeroom. So, storage, mostly non-perishable goods. Okay, so maybe it could also be like a minor treasure vault type of thing. Okay, so let's find out. The large room with the balcony. Gosh, what even... It's such a strange shape for a room. What even is it? 16. It builds ideas. This one is supposed to be a torture chamber. The one right next to it is a throne room, though, which I think would have been pretty cool. I think that would be pretty interesting to have some sort of throne room in this space. Like, it kind of well, I mean, I was going to say it kind of looks like a throne room, but the issue is the door here. Unless the players are coming in from the back of the dungeon. You know, the armory is behind the throne. no, this is a torture chamber. I don't know what kind of torture chamber involves a balcony. Maybe it's like a sort of medical type situation here of like, yeah, we're doing a surgery and you've just got these... That's the thing I've only ever seen in TV, if I'm being honest. Where a surgery's like, yeah, open audience, come take a look. So it's a torture chamber. I mean, it's probably, if everyone's a melee fighter, it's a bit of a torture chamber for the players, am I right? Ha! Offshoot Chamber. This one is here. 6. A chapel. A chapel where the lair's inhabitants worship. That is the correct use of lairs. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm leaning away from dragon. I think humanoid might be appropriate if the lair's inhabitants worship there. Then it probably isn't something mindless. So the next room is this one, this corridor chamber, which that one is a 5. There's a bedroom. A very large bedroom, I might add, but a bedroom nonetheless. Bedroom for leaders. Maybe it's a necromancer's lair. I've been on a necromancy kick lately with, I'm thinking could be like just populated with undead. And the leaders in this case just means necromancer. That way you don't have bedrooms all over the place, you just have the one bedroom for the specifically for the important people. Just a thought. I've run a few dungeons. No, a few is wrong. A lot of dungeons in the past where it's just, yeah, there's always a bedroom. You know, you goblins gotta sleep somewhere, I guess. So what's behind the secret door? This one, I think, has to be something exciting. 8. A guard room for defense of the lair. What happens if we roll it? Let's go best of 3. So a guard room. 11. A kitchen for food and preparation. I think that's a less interesting one. 6. A chapel. Reroll the chapel because we already have a chapel. 14. Storage, mostly non-perishable goods. We have that already. 8. Guard room for defense of the... We have that already. 18. Trophy room or museum. Ooh, I was gonna say guard room for defense would be cool to have at the... Like, that's an interesting thing to have at the very back behind a secret door. But I like a trophy room or museum way more because I think... Trophy room or museum, because I think a trophy room behind a secret door, to bring it back to our first goal, we need to have a hidden object in this place that holds the villain's soul, and putting in the secret room is a good move. Maybe we can also put that hostage back here, but to have this place be hidden is top notch. We can work with that. Cool. Okay. So that's our chambers laid out. Now we can do a quick thing to find out the state of each chamber. So let's just go room to room from our document and find out what the state of them is. So our current chamber is the starting room. 8. I was thinking this kind of idea. So the starting room is used as a campsite. So I'm starting to think maybe there is a humanoid enemy living in this dungeon. This lair might be used for some sort of humanoid, and they use weapons. So they're campsites. So this is where they've got like, you know, not our leaders, but our sort of rabble are basically slumming it in the first chamber next to all this weapons and armor. So they're close at hand, ready for defense. So this might even be like getting into this dungeon might be a fight. You know, if they know you're coming, then this might be a difficult thing where they might put down barricades and have weapons drawn and ready. Next chamber, the Octagon. Fight me one-on-one in the Octagon. 7. Ashes. Ooh. Ashes. Contents. Now we're starting to get flavor and life to the dungeon. Before it was just a room, now there's a story. Contents mostly burned. So this one, as we know, it's a storage room for mostly non-perishable goods. So what was in... maybe that we can start thinking about that later on. Like, what was in that chamber before? What was the reasoning for why is most of it burned? You know, for what reason was it burned? Our torture chamber room with a balcony, this big one here, is 11. A pool of water. Chamber's original contents are water damaged. This actually makes this room even more of like a player torture chamber. Where if it's like a pool of water, like at least of waist height, that means players gotta like wade through it. It becomes difficult terrain. Suddenly reaching these monsters on the balcony, whatever they're gonna be, becomes even harder. Pool of water. Chambers original contents are water damaged. Oh no, my stretching rack. It's been warped by rain. Says some dwarven ancient king. The Offshoot Chamber, this one, if you'll recall, is a chapel currently used by the inhabitants. 2. Okay. It is rubble. Ceiling partially collapsed. Okay, so it's not in complete disarray, so it's usable. Maybe that's a recent thing. Bedroom for leaders. 13. Furniture wrecked, but still present. Okay, maybe it's not used by current leaders. Or maybe they're just really old beds and such. So, furniture wrecked, but still present. So it hasn't been completely looted, perhaps. Now, our secret trophy room. Furniture wrecked but still present. I kind of want to go with something else here. Let's see how it goes. Level. A pool of water. This is supposed to be in a volcano. So I think we'll go one more roll so we don't just have an aquatic dungeon. Nope, that's still furniture wrecked. I want something a little exciting here for that one. Used as a campsite. One more roll, come on. 17. Converted to some other use. Roll in the dungeon chamber. Roll in the general dungeon chambers. Okay, I kinda like this. So we'll call it a converted trophy room or museum. And then we roll a D100. 14. Aha! Now being used as a cell. Okay. I can work with that. That actually sounds cooler than it just being flooded. So if we use this, it's a trophy room, but it's also being used as a prison now. That's its repurposed use. Okay. These tables, by the way, get particularly, like, into the nitty-gritty the further you go, to the point where you wind up, like, just, what kind of furnishings have we got here? The noises you might hear in this room, the smells, which, honestly, I think I might use that later, because calling on, like, one thing I do a lot with dungeon mastering is I try to invoke the other senses. So an important thing you should do when describing a chamber, describing a dungeon, describing a room, is not only say what they see, but also going into what they might hear, what they might smell, what they might feel, heck, sometimes what they might taste. It's important to, like, build the imagery of it by describing, like, you know, the smell of mold or smoke, or the feeling of the room suddenly becoming very cold, or the taste of metal in their mouth, like, in different rooms as those senses approach, because that builds their image of it. It presents an emotion, an idea. It makes them feel more... It makes those environments feel more real if we have, you know, not just... You enter a 30 by 40 foot room, there's a balcony on the other side. None of that, like we describe in more detail. I'm trying to think of how we can have feasibly, like, just make this feel like more of a volcano situation, but I think I might have to get into that later. Because the fact that it's not natural kind of sets me off a little bit. Like, it's not a natural cavern, it's made by dwarves. I don't know. Just a thought. Perhaps it'll come to me later as to how we can make this feel a bit more like a volcano lair. Maybe that'll be to do with the monsters and the items in here. That might just be a low furnishing and population. Some unique features might be a good idea. Actually, I've had a thought. Maybe there's sort of like this chamber is flooded with water because of some sort of like water cooling system in here, where without it, it's become extremely hot. That actually sounds like a pretty cool concept. So we can have like sort of brass piping running all over the dungeon. But let's do a little filling, and then we can come back in a later stream. I think I'll fill these dungeons, and then we'll properly furnish them and figure out what's in them, what particular monsters are in these, in another stream, because I did say we'd be doing a little bit more on this. It was going to become 2, now it's become a whole lot more. So, let's see what is in it. So, contents, we'll just put a little tab down for each. Whoops. Water damage. Okay. So now we need a D100 for each room to see what the chamber contains. So, starting room, the armory. 81 is an empty room. So it's being used as a campsite, but the occupants are gone when the players get here. So it's an empty room. Okay. The large octagonal chamber, because now that's in my head and it's not going away. 33. Okay, so a 33 is... Oops. A monster Did I get that right? 30? Yeah, 33. It is a monster, pet, or allied creature guarding. This is the words you love to hear. Guarding treasure. Hello, Zigzag Parsley. Welcome. We won't be streaming too much longer, I don't think, but we want to get this one finished. How are you this fine evening? I'm okay. A little worried because maybe someone in the house has COVID. We'll see, but aside from that, we're doing alright. So this monster is guarding treasure, which everyone wants to hear. Every player loves to hear both a monster and it's got treasure. Now that's also in the burned out rooms, so maybe that treasure could be a magic item. You know, something that would survive a blaze. Either way, it's gotta be something durable, I think. I saw dungeon creation and had to click. Welcome then. You're in the right place. Dungeons be fun. As far as getting into the deep stuff, you've missed like the building stuff, but that's probably fine. That's the least important part. The story is what we're here for. I think we're gonna complete the story later on, but we're still gonna potentially be a friendly coin. A coin golem. Oh, that sounds awesome. I'm gonna write that down just for the fun of it, and maybe not. We'll see. But similar deal of our villains or our ruler's uncommon fear. Let's put coin golem because I like the suggestion. That could even be the monster. A sentient pair of gems. I love sentient items. I'll give you that much. Pair of gems. It's not often I see a sentient gem. I know a friend of mine that can possess the helmet to gain speech. I'm going to write down, because I like the idea. It's fun. So first off, Octagonal Chamber, where the contents are burned, and I'm just going to write down, and we can use it or maybe not, but I like the suggestion. That was a fun one. Coin golem. A friend of mine did put in one of his campaigns 2 sentient swords that I think he called like bro and bruh, where basically like they would refuse, like just two. I think there were 2 short swords that just refused to be used one-on-one. They had to be with each other, or they would be very angry about it and just ask where the other one was because they just love each other so much. Just, what's up, bro? Hey, you seen bro around? Bruh. So that's the room. A door handle mimic that eats iron or lockpicks, is neutral and potentially will follow whomever feeds it the most. I like the idea of friendly mimics. You don't get enough of them. I think, like, I've never run it, but I've heard something about the new starter set that came out like a year or 2 ago has a potentially friendly mimic in it. Only eats iron. Yeah, he's a ferristarian. Would that be the correct word for an iron-only diet? Ferristarian? Ferritarian, maybe. But that would be fun. It's a monster that doesn't want to eat people. It doesn't care. It just wants food. So the room with the balcony, which was a torch chamber and is now a big pool of water. We could do like a floor collapse thing, maybe. That could be fun. We need to populate that, which has in it 83. 83. Now that's an empty room, but I don't like the idea of that being an empty room. This is a cool space. It's got to be something else. A 64. It's a trap. You know what? Because I've kind of created a story for this one already, of having like this be an ambush room, and I want that to be the case. But having it also be like calling it a trap is probably a good move. So let's put trap. The Offshoot Chamber, which is a chapel. So if you remember, that's the optional space here, so we go through the door that doesn't have the corridor leading straight through. This one, which is partially collapsed, is a 58. 58 is a dungeon hazard with incidental treasure. Now maybe that doesn't entirely seem right. I'll put it down, but this is a chamber being used by inhabitants. Depending on what that dungeon hazard is. Let's see. Are hazards... Now that's a different chapter. Where's... Random dungeon hazards? Ah! So the random dungeon hazards are brown mold, green slime, a shrieker, spider webs, violet fungus, or yellow mold. The potato peeler of projected loathing. Well, it's good we're keeping this nice and minor. Like, minor magical items, they're fun. Projected loathing? I don't even know what that would mean, but that could be fun. I like those minor magic items that are just like, you throw a couple of words together and it's a suggestion, and come, like, this is why I'm doing this dungeon to begin with. Can do 1d4 side damage at a range of 25 feet while attempting to peel potatoes. Only while peeling potatoes is very important, though. You gotta make sure that by the end of the adventuring day, you have fries for the long rest. Yeah, I don't think this dungeon should have a hazard in it, unless it's a hazard that the inhabitants can navigate and handle. And these hazards don't strike me as being handleable for most monsters that aren't very specific. Like a brown mold is... I think it deals cold damage, and grows like absorbs heat, which actually would kind of work in a dungeon that's set in a volcano, I think. A green slime, is falling acid that falls from the roof. A shrieker, or affects them when with intimidated. A shrieker, I don't actually know what that even is. Spider webs are navigable by spiders, and driders. I guess drow maybe could... I mean, that would kind of work if this were a dungeon full of drow. It still could be. Violet fungus. You know what, let's just roll and see if we end up with something that might work here. Brown mold, maybe. I'll have to look into it more. My D&D's a little rusty. A shrieker. I don't know what a shrieker is. Isn't that like a steam vent near water elementals? A hazard that benefits... yeah, it should... If this is a place... If it were just a random offshoot of the dungeon, then I would believe it. Like, to have it be... If it happened in a room that the inhabitants could avoid, then that's typically where I'd expect something like green slimes or a brown mold to be. But the fact that it's in a chamber that the inhabitants use means the inhabitants have to be able to navigate it. I think a shrieker might be, from memory from Out of the Abyss, a mushroom that screams when you get near it. I don't know what you're supposed to do with that, but... Let's write down obstacle for now. So let's call it a... Well, not obstacle, it's a dungeon hazard. And when I can work out road potatoes and potholes that can sprain the player's leg and reduce their movement speed until a short rest. Slip and fall. No wet floor sign hazard. That's the hazard, is OSHA's gonna come down in this dungeon like a hammer. So I'm going to put dungeon hazard there, and we can come back to that with some better ideas. Once I know what the dungeon is filled with. The corridor chamber, which we know is a bedroom. What is currently there? We need some monsters in this dungeon. I know it's low level, but we need something to be here. 89. I'm not gonna pick that one, because that's empty room again. Actually... I probably should have figured out the secret room first and then populated back from there, but... Empty room with dungeon hazard. You know what? So if this is the case... Empty. I'll write it down because maybe we're coming up with something here. Empty room with dungeon hazard. If these are the same or similar hazards, it might tell us a bit about the inhabitants of this dungeon. So we need one that can worship a location, use a campsite, so maybe cares about weapons and armor, and can navigate dungeon hazards. So I'm going to need to actually do some research between these streams. But the final room, which is supposedly a secret door, which may or may not be open by the time the players get here, because it's because the cell is actually important. It is a necessary plot device, because the goal is find someone who's here. What was it? So they need to clear this ruin, which could involve clearing out these dungeon hazards. Maybe this is more of a sort of funhouse dungeon than a meat grinder. Just all of our stream notes feel very very non-combat-ish. Our villain is a non-combat character. But our goal is to clear the ruins, so maybe that means sweeping out all the brown mold. However you do that, I'm not actually sure. Brown mold, most of the time in my adventures, I've never used it myself, but anytime it comes up in one, we always get screwed on. Like, someone gets absolutely wrecked by brown mold and dies. Shifting sands that ask you questions about your day, and staring in a certain way that can suck you into the walls and bring you to a different passage. Think secret passageway, maybe an NPC that flees to a dead end. If this were a desert dungeon, absolutely, like shifting sands and like more secret passageways. Absolutely, that'd be incredibly cool. I feel like this being the history of this dungeon being built by dwarves and, I mean, abandoned by squares, but built by dwarves in a volcano, feels like it's much more sturdy. There's a solid construction to it. Maybe a bit weathered by time, but still, like, well built. So what is in this cell? 1-1. Perfect. This is exactly what it needed to be, realistically. So in the secret room, we have a monster, which is the dominant inhabitant. And they have treasure. So we've got two fairly simple dungeon, though quite sizable in some parts. We should put some stuff like in these passageways, just because otherwise there's no reason for this to exist. So I feel like I should put something here. Shifting moss or liquid cold iron? Liquid cold iron sounds cool. So I'm thinking I'll populate this a bit more. And I'm going to need to do some research on what types of monsters would fit. So we know... Let's write this down. We'll start at the top. So, current inhabitants. So what do we know about this dungeon? This dungeon was made by dwarves. It's no longer inhabited by the dwarves that made it. So this dungeon is probably old, ancient. We know that our inhabitants make campsites, use furniture, a fireman golem that can freeze players if they catch on fire, wants to help but actually deals frost damage while attempting to save them. I'm just helping! I'm trying to save your life! That's very sweet. Its best friend is a fire golem who destroys what he touches. So we know they make campsites, they use furniture. The furniture is wrecked, but it is still good. We know that much. Worship. What else do we have? So we have a campsite. Potentially had reason to burn storage room. So I like the idea that you know, keeping in this story that whatever burned this room is still here. Will actively mourn the death of anyone who dies on the physical side of it. No, the golem feels remorse. Had reason to burn the storage room. Set traps. Or stage ambushes. Let's see, what? We came up with this room, right? Which one was it? The balcony room had a trap in it. Let's see what those traps can be. So they have a trap trigger, which is a D6. 2, which is moved through. That's fine. So trap, moved through. So this will determine whether this trap that they're using, so this might be one that they've set. Like, not that they've actually set, but that's always been here, and they're just reusing it. Toaster crabs. Mechanical crab toasters that attempt to lure animals with the scent of freshly cooked bread. I had no idea where that was going at first. I know there are mecha spiders in Waterdeep Dragon Heist. So you move through the doorway. Trap Severity. How deadly is this trap? 1. It's a setback. So I think the real hazard is the ambush on the other side. Superheated lead liquid. Yikes. Actually, if it's hot enough and you just wet your entire body, you could probably jump right through. And then the effect. What does the trap do? We need another 100. 26. Ooh. Ooh, this is kind of thematic. Fire shoots out from wall, floor, or object. Move through, stepped on, touched, opened. So one of these two passages, I think it might be this one. Are we thinking Dwemer Ruins with Falmer type of thing? I'm not super adept with the Elder Scrolls, but my thought is, so this door is locked, and this is the door that the inhabitants are using. So when the players get here, they're still here. This room has been abandoned, and they've pulled back through this passage to here, setting up an ambush around here. So we might put some stairs in somewhere, or a ladder. They might even have just the balcony goes around. It might not even be built to be a balcony, and it's just some decorative trim. So it's like they can climb up on a ladder, kick it down, and so this is a place for them to set this ambush. And the trap is that the players, if they can't get through this locked door, they're gonna have to go through this room, and then come through here where there's this fire trap. Purple flame in a clear room. Purple flame is just below plasma in terms of heat. It is magical fire. Magical fire can be however hot you want. Although, it is only a setback. So perhaps completely liquefying a player with some superheated plasma trap might be a bit more than just a setback, and comes more into deadly dangerous territory. Incineration chamber for waste removal. That is cool. I always do like that idea. You know, you gotta have a dungeon with a toilet in there. There needs to be a latrine, right? I think Velkenvelv, it's just kind of like throw it over the side because it's like a suspended chamber. the first dungeon in Dragon Heist has like has a waste pit that a green that a not green a gray ooze or a gray ooze has made a home in. So they're like blocking it up so it doesn't get out. So Incineration Chamber just tracks like have a lava. It's a volcano. Have a pit that just falls into lava. I could throw that in. That might be what our dead end here is. Actually, I quite like that. Putting in a chamber that it's a big pit of fire. That could be cool. I quite like. Now you've got me thinking, Parsley. Zigzag Parsley 72. Just right here, this, yeah, my mouse is still popping up, cool. Just like a drop off into a flaming pit of like just a pit of lava. It's just throw the garbage down there. That could be useful in a dungeon ecology. Players could fight something and throw them in. That would be a cool. That'd be a cool encounter. Players will be talking about that for a while. God, thank God I'm not actually physically drawing the octagon. I'm just looking at it again like, God dang. It's a square grid. Okay, so now we know that. So we're dealing with something smart. The trap, I feel like, is here from before. I think they haven't made this trap because it feels a little bit magical or esoteric or arcane in such a way that might have been here from the time of before. Or maybe it's part of the reason why this is burned down. But I like the idea that this corridor... So I'm actually going to make a note of that. Trap. Corridor. Or passage is the correct term. Passage between here and octagonal room. Triggers trap. There we go. That's the Mac. Having a fire trap in a volcano dungeon, that tracks. Now we've got a bit of a story about why this is sort of an empty passage. We can put an incinerator here. So they stage ambushes, they take captives. Have reason to burn storage room. Take captives and capable of navigating dungeon hazard. Okay. So off the bat, from like the fact that they take a captive, we know that they have a cell and the goal is to rescue somebody. It hazard, sure. It does kind of feel like maybe it does kind of feel like maybe a drow is correct. Like the dominant inhabitants are drow. Just because being followers of Lolth, the Spider Queen, maybe they have some means of navigating spider webs, which are a common hazard. So maybe the dungeon hazard here and here are actually just spider webs. So they're going to slow people down. The drow can easily cross them. Their quest to find out what happened. Maybe they were fleeing with time travel properties straight into the past, and they have to get back to their own time. If you're gonna do time travel in a campaign, you gotta do it right. You gotta make sure that time travel is the goal, not an incidental. Sometimes could be sentient magma stone golems. Yeah, maybe fire is the hazard. I'm not entirely against that. Maybe it's maybe the dungeon hazard isn't. a mold or a green slime. Maybe it's just or a spiderwebs even. Maybe it's actually just lava in these passages. Maybe that's I think that might even be better. It could be a magman dungeon. Locked underground due to miles deep cave-in. Yeah, exactly. I need to look up. That'll be what I do between streams. I'm gonna need to find a fire-resistant or immune sentient creatures that might be willing to take. Oh god, I've thought of it. It's an Efreet. It's a fire genie. Which unfortunately I said, let's do a literal fire ant hills. Oh, you monster. That might be what's in the octagonal room. But I think an Efreet might be the best option. I'm gonna completely misspell this, so give me a sec to check my D&D Beyond for a second. We want monsters. Listings. Monsters. Efreet. Single R. Single F. R. Double E. T. I know I said low-level dungeon, so I might have to depower it a little. But that kinda works. That might be the boss. Maybe that might be why there's so few monster encounters in here. Jumbo Science version. I've given myself a lot to think about, but maybe there are other options. I've only written that temporarily, but it would give a good reason for the dwarves to have left. If we take, capture people, they can I think there's a big slave trade on the City of Brass, maybe. I'm pretty sure that's the case from memory. Maybe, I'm not sure, I don't think Afriti really use furniture. How often do you stream? Not often, rarely. I won't blow up your notifications, I'll say that much. But I intend to do a little bit more of it from time to time. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to look this up, but I'm gonna have to leave it there on the dungeon, and we can come back and finish once I've given some thought. But that kind of makes sense of, so we need, I'll put in the secret room, dominant monster with treasure, so possibly our Efreet. Also, what would be the best way to put this? I'll put, not in brackets. I want to put sentient meat cleavers that promote individualism and personal truth. You're very creative, I'll give you that. Have I ever seen a sentient meat cleaver before? I don't think so. I think that'd be a cool weapon. So in this room, I'm thinking this is where we put item containing villain's soul. And perhaps it was given to... I do not have a Discord, unfortunately. Perhaps it was given to the... Oh, that needs a... To the Efreet. Maybe there's some sort of bargain here? I'm just throwing out Efreet because that comes to mind of, like... It's a sentient fire creature. There might be many more. Maybe a salamander is more appropriate. I'm going to need to do some research and hopefully come up with something that's appropriate for a low-level party, because that's more of what I was designing at first. But I think we're going to leave this here for today. Hopefully my frames haven't dropped so incredibly bad that I'm going to say that, and then this will continue going for 20 more minutes. But yes, we're going to leave that here, and I'm going to have to do some research. And then we're going to try and finish up this dungeon and connect it to our town. I think there's at least one more stream that has the cantrip magic hand usable instantly only on self to move around. That tracks. But what do you push on? So I think we're going to do at least one more stream to try and figure out how all this connects, and why does our villain's soul belong in this dungeon? What's it doing here? Who is living in this dungeon? What are the encounters? I would love to work out the encounters in this dungeon. We're gonna have to tweak all that. So that's where I'm gonna leave it. This will be on YouTube as well, just like the last ones. Water balloons are its weakness. Water balloons to the death. Kinda does work on a fire elemental from memory. I'm pretty sure you can freeze water elementals and wet a fire elemental to kill it. But yes, we'll leave this here. Thank you for contributing to the stream. You've been so lovely. And hopefully we'll pick this up soon. So follow to see when we'll get the next stream of this. Alright? Let me just find my stream cards. There we go. Alright. That'll be it for today, and see you next time. Bye-bye.